What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to break down 10 of the biggest changes coming with episode Heresy this week. So of course there is new content and plenty of adjustments to existing content in the game, so if you're returning for this drop, hopefully this video will be helpful in breaking down some of the top things we can expect from this new episode. So if you guys enjoyed the video, a rating below really does help us out. And now let's get into some of the changes. So for episode Heresy, we're going to see adept weapons introduced for the first time. This will be the seasonal set of weapons. There'll be both normal and adept variants, with the adept versions dropping with double perks. And on top of drops from activities, Bungie have said each week will feature a seasonal challenge that rewards the new tier of seasonal weapon, which should guarantee us weekly drops. And in addition to that, they'll be introducing something called the Tome of Want, which can be used to specifically target new weapons. Essentially, this is weapon attunement or reward attunement for the episode, and the tome will come with a handful of upgrades that will be done over time. On top of that, Heresy's weapons will come with new fragile mods that increase weapon versatility, with some being added at launch and additional ones being introduced with subsequent acts. So a slight variation on the weapon system and rewards in general for this episode versus what we've seen previously. Secondly though, this one's a bit of a meme, but Bungie will be bringing the holoprojector to us. So they've promised less vendor visits as part of this episode. That's a promise we have seen before, so we'll see how it pans out. One of the ways that Bungie plan to do that though is to land more of the storytelling and dialogue inside of actual missions and quest steps, as opposed to sending us from one vendor to another in between objectives. So hopefully that's going to pan out nicely. Thirdly though, Bungie will be introducing new abilities, and they've essentially said they're offering this in place of exotic armor for the episode. So the first component to know about is Bolt Charge, which Bungie describe as a positive stacking buff that you build up on yourself over time, and once you reach the maximum charge, your next ability attack will unleash a devastating bolt of arc lightning. And when we have stacks of Bolt Charge, dealing damage with any weapon will increase the Bolt Charge stack count. And when a stack is gained, we gain a chunk of melee energy. Then at 10 stacks, the Bolt Charge is ready, and all ability damage, arc or otherwise, will summon that arc bolt, which deals roughly the same amount of damage as a solar ignition with a smaller area of effect. They do say though that Bolt Charge is tuned to have more consistent and predictable uptime, and in some instances it will pair with new aspects that we're going to see for episode 3. So the Warlock will get Ionic Sentry, which allows us to defeat targets with arc abilities or weapons to charge up the sentry. Then we can activate our grenade to deploy a powerful arc turret which blinds on impact and sends out bolts of lightning that chain to nearby enemies and grants stacks of Bolt Charge when it defeats enemies. Hunters will get On the Prowl, and entering invisibility will mark a nearby enemy as a priority target for you and the team, and defeating priority targets creates a weakening cloud of smoke that makes you and allies invisible when passing through it, and when priority targets are defeated, you and allies will gain increased weapon reload speed and stability for a short duration, and are granted grenade, melee, and class ability energy. Finally though, we'll get the Titan's Storm's Keep, where we can cast a class ability to grant a moderate number of Bolt Charge stacks to you and nearby allies, and while behind the barricade, you and allies will gain a stack of Bolt Charge over time, and any weapon damage will discharge maximum stacks of Bolt Charge. And of course the benefit with these elements is that they can fit into multiple different builds, work with various exotics, weapons and other mods, so it's an interesting approach, and give us your thoughts below. Number 4 though includes Trials updates, and as Bungie have outlined, they'll be making the Lighthouse accessible for all players, with a total revamp to passages, and more rewarding in general with less focus on flawless cards. On top of that, adept weapons will be able to be earned without flawless, as there's a fairly massive reward update, so there'll be a new solar aggressive sniper rifle called the Keen Thistle. On top of that though, Bungie showed off new armor for Trials, and additional cosmetic drops that players will be able to earn. So if the current iteration of Trials hasn't been friendly to you, but you still have that itch that you want to scratch, it's definitely going to be worth checking out Trials when it returns in Heresy. Up next though, Bungie will introduce new weapons for every playlist in the game, so you can see the perks for all of these weapons on screen. Gambit will be getting an arc rapid fire glaive called Backfang, and the Crucible will get Joxer's longsword, a void heavy burst pulse rifle. Those updates run into other playlists though, with the Nightfall getting the Lotus Eater, a void rocket-assisted sidearm, so a lot of players will want to go after that. Additionally though, the Palindrome will return for this episode as an arc adaptive hand cannon. Then for Vanguard Ops, there'll be the Cynosure, a strand aggressive frame rocket launcher. Finally though, for the Iron Banner, there'll be the Warlord Spear, an arc adaptive trace rifle. and we'll see the return of the Peace Bond, a stasis adaptive burst sidearm. That's on top of all of the episode weapons, reprised Season of Arrival's weapons, and crafting being introduced to the Vault of Glass, so that's the next big update. We'll have to earn the red borders again, although the Time Lost Adept variants will still be available. They'll feature some new perks, things like Elemental Honing, and dealing unique elemental damage grants the weapon a stacking damage bonus, which is increased for kinetic weapons. Plus the Vault weapons will get the new Time Lost Magazine origin trait, and final blows with the weapon grant bonus super energy, and when your super expires, the weapon's magazine size is doubled for a long duration and reloads from reserves. That could be a pretty strong origin trait, so those weapons will start dropping from the Vault of Glass immediately at the launch of Heresy, but of course once it's a featured raid, it will be entirely farmable, which will be pretty juicy. Number 7 though, we are getting a new dungeon on the 7th of February, so on the end of week 1, and this dungeon will be set in Savathun's throne world, where we'll infiltrate Walk's pyramid ship. So it's called Sundered Doctrine, and as always, it will have a contest mode enabled for the first 48 hours, although Bungie did confirm after the first clear, the normal version will also become an option. And otherwise, a lot of the dungeon is fairly under wraps, so we'll see what we get, but if you've got the dungeon key, let us know if you'll be diving into that with the drop next weekend. Next up, the episode will see 3 new armor sets. These haven't been previewed in great detail just yet. In fact, we should say 4 new armor sets because we are getting the new Trials armor, but for seasonal stuff, there'll be an Eris-themed armor set and a Hive Ship Navigator armor set. Obviously, one will come from the Season Pass and one will drop in the Heresy activities. But in addition to those playlist drops, there'll be a Star Wars collaboration with armor ornaments appearing in the Eververse store. Otherwise, Heresy will get a lot of sandbox tuning across abilities, exotic armor, and both legendary and exotic weapons. So I'll link a couple of videos down below that have all of those tuning details, but it'll include exotic buffs for Lorentz Driver and Delicate Tomb, Darcy, all of the exotic class glaives, rework to the Fundamentals perk on Dead Messenger, Hardlight, and Borealis, as well as a buff for Telesto, Vexcalibur, Wardcliff Coil, the Queenbreaker, Colony, Quicksilver Storm, Legend of Acreus, Fourth Horseman, Lord of Wolves, Cloudstrike, Thunderlord, and many, many more. So if you want more specific details about any of those changes, like I said, I'll link separate videos down below as they are very significant in themselves. We could make an hour-long video easily on the changes coming in Heresy, and we've nearly done that a couple of times, so I guess we won't do it again right here. But otherwise, there will be a bunch of material and quality of life changes for Heresy. Some will be revealed with the patch notes next week, but Bungie are increasing the Strange Coins cap from 99 to 199, and the Osirian Ciphers and Nightfall Ciphers cap will increase from 10 to 30. Otherwise, Bungie will be making adjustments to Fireteam Finder on the mobile app, a fix for the monolithic memento from Salvation's Edge, and many other items, but we'll probably get a lot of those details with the patch notes on Tuesday, which are set to be pretty significant, I would imagine. So there we go, guys. Let us know what stands out to you down in the comments section. I'm quite looking forward to the new episode weapons, to be honest, and a return to the Dreadnought in some capacity. Hopefully that activity will be fun and engaging for at least the majority of Act 1. Time will tell, but otherwise there are a lot of sandbox and quality of life changes for the game, as well as the introduction of new rewards. So share your thoughts below. If you've enjoyed the video, a rating below really helps us as well. But otherwise, cheers for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on Tuesday for Heresy.